Yeah, I don't know what I'm gonna.
I hope it's gonna be all right. I'm glad.
Shalom, everyone. Uh-oh, something's... Slow mode is on. Send a message every 1 minute. Okay. So that has nothing to do with us? I don't know. I haven't seen this up here before.
You better not push the wrong thing.
I didn't.
To start.
I've never seen that
I
up there.
told you to sit over so you're covering that.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, it's so we won't get any of those bad.
Okay. All right. We are going to get started. We're going to get started. Okay, we're in Vayetzek. We are in Genesis 28:10. Genesis 28:10.
garlic bread out.
Okay, Genesis 28:10.
Well, look at
Tell denial. Leave me alone. Okay, Genesis 28.
These are my favorite Parasha.
28:10. There's a lot in this, and I mean a lot.
These are my favorite Parasha. One of them.
There's a lot in here. Okay, well, let's pray. Father, thank you for this day. Thank you, Father, that you are with us. Thank you, Father, that you bless us. And Father, another Torah reading. Watch over us as we study your Torah tonight. Bless it. Give us revelation as we go through the story with Jacob. Father, and bring us revelation. Hallelujah. We give you praise in Yeshua's name. Amen.
Amen.
Okay. So, remember Isaac is leaving now for his relative's place, Laban's.
Not Isaac, Jacob.
Jacob. I'm sorry, Jacob. I'll get my brain off Isaac here in a minute. Isaac sent him out. That's what I was going to say. So Isaac sent him and blessed him. Okay. So we picked the story up. 28:10. And Jacob went out from Beersheba and went towards Haran. And he came upon a place and stopped over for the night, for the sun had set. And he took one of the stones of that place and put it under his head, and he lay down in that place to sleep. Okay. So I have a question for you. How did Abraham send for a wife for Isaac? And how is Isaac sending Jacob out to get a wife?
How was he doing it?
Yeah.
Same family, still home, sister,
Yeah, but
his relatives,
what's missing?
the servant. He told the servant to take him.
Isaac is broke. He's got a stone for a pillow.
Okay.
Where's the 10 camels?
Oh, yeah.
Where's all the stuff?
Yeah.
Why is Isaac sending Jacob out broke?
Huh.
Nobody. Just sending him himself.
Teach him a lesson.
He done-
Abraham, something's messed up here.
Well, Sarah just
But-
died, so he was in mourning. So he had to have a servant do it.
So
Yeah.
I don't know. Isaac,
Give me Rebecca.
Rebecca.
so that's just a question. Why?
That is a big question.
Okay, he's basically sending them out broke.
Huh.
Okay. And he can't, yeah, I read that. And verse 12, and he dreamed and saw a ladder set upon the earth, and his top reached to the heavens, and saw a messenger of Elohim. Now get this phrase, the messengers of Elohim going up and coming down. So if they're going up, they got to be here.
If they're coming down, they're here.
Yep.
They gotta land.
So they're going up and coming down. And remember, it says that also, it describes that in John 1:41-51.
Mhm.
So you will see the messengers go up and coming down. So if they're going up first, that means they're already here, right? So they're already here. That's in John 1:41-51, I think. And see, Adonai stood above it and said, I am
Oh, Nathaniel, yeah.
Adonai Elohim of Abraham your father, and the Elohim of Isaac, the land on which you are lying. I give it to you and your seed. Okay.
Hey, back up just a second. We're in John. John what?
141 to 51, I think. Okay. So,
It's the end. It's verse 51, the last verse.
the last verse, 51, yeah.
You will see heaven open and the angels of God ascending and descending on the Son of
Yeah,
Man.
ascending and descending.
What's the Vayetzek mean?
So, in this, verse 14 has a couple things you could run with. Okay? Has a couple things you could run with. Again, we're in 28:14. And your seed shall be as the dust of the earth, and you shall break forth. Okay? Whose name means to break forth?
Jacob Perez, right?
Perez.
He's not born yet.
He's not born yet. Okay? And Yeshua comes down through him, correct?
Yeah.
Yeshua comes down through him. See how this stuff is all connected? You just gotta to the west and to the east, to the north and the south. And all the clans of the earth shall be blessed in you and in your seed. Okay? So that's in Genesis 12, right? That's what was told to Abraham. But it also has something very important in that. Okay? All the clans of the earth shall be blessed. Okay? Being grafted in, right? All the clans of the earth because of what Yeshua did. So there's a lot here you could run with, but we have to keep moving on. But so verse 15, and see, I am with you and shall guard you wherever you go. I almost believe that phrase is in Romans. So it's about talking about redemption. I am with you, and you shall guard you wherever you go, and shall bring you back to this land. For I am not going to leave you until I have done what I have spoken to you.
Yeshua said, I am with you. Oh,
Yes, Yeshua said that too. So I'm gonna scoot this like this. Because that's better for me to have in front of it instead of reading over there. I have to make an adjustment. And Jacob woke from his sleep and said, truly, Adonai is in this place, and I did not know it. Okay. So there's some revelation going on here. And he was afraid and said, how awesome. Okay.
Is he talking about the physical location that he's at right now?
Yep.
Uh-huh.
How awesome. Yes, he's talking about the physical location. Is this place? This is none other than the house of Elohim, and this is the gate of heavens. So he's where the temple was built. He is where the rock and where the ark would have set. That's where he is now.
Mount Moriah. Mount Moriah.
Yes.
I think where
Isaac, where Abraham was going to sacrifice Isaac. They called it Mount Moriah back then.
No, well,
I
think it still is.
Yeah, I think it still is too. But it's the stone. It's a huge stone there where the ark was setting, where they built the temple in Jerusalem. That's where Moses put Isaac up on the altar. And this is where Abraham, sorry. Abraham put Isaac up on the altar, and Jacob is laying his head.
So the dome in the rock, is that built over the top of this rock, or is this rock still?
I don't know. There's different theories out there. They say the dome is built over that rock. You know, it's like a big slab rock.
Right.
And others say, well, that's not exactly where it is. It's going to be found somewhere else. And there's a lot of different theories, but I couldn't tell you. Okay.
So when they start building a new temple, they'll probably excavate and find the real rock.
Yeah.
Huh.
A lot of things can
I'm
happen.
hoping for that.
Yeah. And Jacob rose early in the morning and took the stone they had put on his head and set it up on a standing column and poured oil on top of it. And he called the name of that place Bet El. However, the name of the city had been Luz previously. 20. And Jacob made a vow, saying, Behold, Elohim is with me and has kept me in this way that I'm going, and has given me bread to eat and a garment to put on. So he doesn't even have a garment. So Elohim brought him food to eat. Was that manna from heaven? And he gave him a garment.
So a real ragamuffin, huh?
He went out poor. So when I return to my father's house in peace, and Adonai has been my Elohim, then this stone which I've set as a standing column shall be Elohim's house. In all that you give me, I shall certainly give a tenth to you. Okay? Elohim's house. So he's like prophesying where the temple is going to be built. And this is the first place, I believe. Now, I don't know for sure, but I'm going to say it. I believe this is the first place where it mentions a tithe to the house of Adonai. I'll give you a tenth to you.
We know Abraham gave it to Melchizedek, right?
Yeah, but this is to the
House of
coming.
God, yeah,
This is
to the house of God.
this is the temple,
Which hadn't been built.
which hadn't been built yet.
Yeah. Does he say he'll give it to the temple? Mine just says he'll give it to you.
Then the stone which I have set as a standing column shall be Elohim's house. And of that you give to me, I shall certainly give a tenth to you. So it's in the temple, his house. It's him. I mean, yes, it's his. It's still his, whether you give it to. So, and Jacob moved on, came to the land of the people of the east. Okay. East.
Who are you?
Enemies of Israel, right? And he looked and saw a well in the field and saw 3 flocks of sheep lying by it. For out of that well they watered the flocks, and a large stone was on the well's mouth. Okay, saw 3 flocks. 3 stands for revelation, right? Something's going to be revealed here. Why wasn't it 4 flocks? Why wasn't it 2? Why wasn't it 6? Why wasn't it 10? 3 flocks. Okay, so he's near Laban now. We are going to have a scenario.
Iran, right? Where is that? And he was in Beersheba.
Yeah.
That's a long way.
So he traveled way up there, yeah.
I know, surely not all in one day.
Well, no, he didn't travel all in one day.
Over a
Well, it
month.
says the sun
Over a month.
set. The sun had set, so
I don't know. Maybe he got
maybe you really
translated
didn't have
up there.
I mean, if he didn't have a lot of stuff to take with him, he could maybe.
And if he was running,
He says
No.
he came to a certain place and stayed there for the night because the sun had set. Well, if it took more than one day, the sun would have set.
well,
For that.
maybe it's talking about that particular day.
Maybe.
Notice something here. Things never change.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Things never change. Okay? What happened here at the well before?
Yeah.
It's the same well that
Rebecca came to.
Rebecca came to.
Yeah. That
It's the same well that Rebecca came to, and happens to be the same thing almost, right?
Yeah.
Okay?
Now they got a rock on it.
And a large stone, let's see, yeah, 3 flocks of sheep lying by it. For out of that well they watered the flocks, and a large stone was on the well's mouth. And all the flocks would be gathered there. Then they'd roll the stone from the well's mouth and water the sheep and put the stone back in place on the well's mouth. Okay? We know water stands for life, right? You got to have water.
Mhm.
So Jacob said to them, my brothers, where are you from? And they said, we are from Haran. And he said to them, do you know Laban, son of Nahor? And they said, we know him. So he said to them, it is well. Is he well? And they said, well, and see his daughter Rachel is coming with the sheep. So we got Rachel coming with the sheep, and we got Rebecca coming with the sheep. Same thing happens. And he said, see, it is still high day, not the time for the livestock to be gathered together. Water the sheep and go and feed them. But they said, we are not allowed until all the flocks are gathered together, and they have rolled a stone from the well's mouth. Then we shall water the sheep. While he was still speaking with them, Rachel came with her father's sheep, for she was a shepherdess. And it came to be, when Jacob saw Rachel, the daughter of Laban, his mother's brother, and the sheep of Laban, his mother's brother, that Jacob went near and rolled a stone from the well's mouth and watered the flock of Laban, his mother's brother. Okay? And Jacob kissed Rachel. He lifted up his voice and wept. So he lifted up his voice. So that was worship, right?
Kissing was worship.
Yeah. He kissed her. Love at first sight, I guess.
It wasn't that kind of kiss.
I'm sure.
It was a
Yeah, I know what kind of kiss.
A holy kiss.
A holy kiss. Kissed her on the neck, right? Or cheek or something. I don't know.
Mhm.
So why is he
On
crying?
the cheek.
Cause he's where he needs to be.
He's where he needs to be, and he was on a long journey.
He's like crying.
And he had a lot happen to him.
Tears
And he was sent out with nothing.
Hmm.
He's probably hungry, right?
Mhm.
And it came to be when Laban heard the report about Jacob, his sisters. Oh, I missed verse 12. And when Jacob told Rachel that he was his father's relative and that he was Rivka's or Rebekah's son, she ran and told her father. And it came to be when Laban heard the report about Jacob, his sister's son, that he ran to meet him. A lot of running going around.
Mhm.
He ran, she ran. Remember?
Mhm.
Rebecca ran. Laban ran out to meet the servant. A lot of running going on, right? Just like Isaac and Rebecca.
Mhm.
And embraced him and kissed him and brought him to his house. Then he told Laban all these matters. And Laban said to him, you are indeed my bone and my flesh. And he stayed with him for a new moon. Okay? That's a kingdom term there, right? New moon. So he stayed with him about a month, right? For a new moon. Then Laban said, Jacob, because you are my relative, should you therefore serve me for naught? Let me know. What should your wages be? And Laban had 2 daughters. The name of the elder was Leah, and the name of the younger was Rachel. In Leah's eyes, it says in a lot of English, weak, and it doesn't really necessarily mean that.
Mine says lovely.
Yes.
Mine says dull.
Her eyes were soft and lovely and beautiful. That was one of her traits, Leah's. She had very beautiful eyes. Okay? And it says, but Rachel was beautiful of form and beautiful of appearance.
Shape.
So Rachel had basically a beautiful body, but with her eyes weren't the greatest. But then Leah had the most beautiful eyes. Whatever. Just how they're describing them. And Jacob loved Rachel. So he said, let me serve you 7 years for Rachel, your younger daughter. And Laban said, it's better that I give her to you than that I should give her to another man. Stay with me. So Jacob served 7 years for Rachel, and they seemed to him to be a few days because of the love he had for her. Then Jacob said to Laban, give me my wife, for my days are completed, and let me go into her. And Laban gathered all the men, or actually it means people, of the place and made a feast. And it came to be in the evening, then he took Leah his daughter and brought her to Jacob, and he went to her. And Laban gave his female servant Zilpah to his daughter Leah as a female servant. Boy, don't you wish you had a servant when you got married?
No.
Oh, okay. Someone to cook and clean and do the dirty dishes?
There would always be trouble. Can't have two queens.
Well, you're the queen.
She's a servant.
And in the morning it came to be that, behold, it was Leah. So he said to Laban, what is this that you have done to me? Was it not for Rachel that I served you? Why then have you deceived me? That's a very profound statement there. What does Jacob's name get turned into?
Israel.
Israel. What happens in the last days?
The devil deceives.
The Antichrist deceives them, right? So they get deceived. Israel will be deceived. Remember, Laban's not an outstanding character here. Okay. Verse 27, complete the week of this one, then we give you this one too. For the service which you shall serve with me still another 7 years. And Jacob did so and completed her week. Then he gave him her daughter Rachel to as a wife. And Laban, it makes you wonder if Rachel wasn't in on this too.
Well, she probably told her. You can't. Your daughter's such an older, so you have to go first. But you get both.
It just makes you wonder. She had to know about it.
Unless they imprisoned her or something.
She had to obey her father.
She had to know about it.
See if we can get another 7 years of work out of it.
Yeah. Why didn't she try to sneak away and tell Jacob what was going to happen? I don't know, just questions. Ask questions.
Unless they just.
Why didn't they run away together? They should have ran in the desert, stole a camel, and run off together. Like Hollywood would have made the movie, right?
Yeah. But they might not have told her till the very last minute.
Who knows? Just have to ask some questions. Where am I? 29? Yes. And Laban gave his female servant Bilhah to his daughter Rachel as a female servant. 4 women. Number 4 represents the world. Trouble is brewing. Trouble is brewing. Okay.
Never trust a woman.
Hey.
Well, it's funny how in Islam, it's almost, it's a natural thing to have 4 wives in Islam. You have one, I know you have one that's just, you take out for show. She's pretty, you just worry if you get invited to the palace or you get invited somewhere else.
Usually the first wife has all the responsibilities of just.
Yeah, but she's just is for taken out as a showboat. It's a pretty young girl, and that's what they do. Take her out as a showboat. That's all she is. And then you have the main wife, and then you have the other 2, whatever they do.
Watch
But
the kids.
yeah, yeah,
I had them in my
have kids and cook meals, and
do chores.
so 30. And he also went into Rachel, and he also loved Rachel more than Leah, and he served with Laban still another 7 years. And online I saw that Leah was unloved. And he opened her womb, but Rachel was barren. Here we go again. You know. And Leah conceived and bore a son, and she called his name Reuben. For she said, for Adonai has looked on my affliction, because now my husband is going to love me. And she conceived again and bore a son, and said, because Adonai has heard that I am unloved, he gave me this son too, and she called his name Simeon, or Shimon, or what's the term? Shema. Hear, O Israel. And she conceived again and bore a son, and said, now this time my husband is joined to me, because I have borne him 3 sons. So his name is called Levi. Notice it means joined to me. So the Levites are joined to God, right? They're God's people. And she conceived again and bore a son, and said, now I praise Adonai. So she called his name Yehuda, and she ceased barren. Now, typically we think of the Levites and the Kohen, and we think of Judah, all the kings, the king line of the 2 main tribes, right? So Leah is having 6 sons out of the 12, and she's the one that's buried with the other patriarchs in the patriarch grave. Abraham, Isaac, Sarah, and Rebecca. Leah is going to be buried there with Jacob. It's not Rachel. So, but because I believe she was the most meek, humble, I think she was the best character one of them all. And I'll tell you why in a minute. Chapter 30. How about someone else read? Oh, read 10 verses and stop. How's that?
When Rachel saw that she had not borne children to Yaakov, she became envious of her sister. She said to Yaakov, give me children or I shall die. Jacob became angry with Rachel and said, can I take the place of God who has denied you the fruit of the womb? She replied, here is my maidservant Leah. I might just have intercourse with her, and let her give birth on my knees, so that I too have children through her. So she gave him her maidservant Leah, his wife, and Yaakov had intercourse with her. When Leah conceived and bore her son for Jacob, Rachel said, God has vindicated me. Indeed, he has heeded my plea and given me a son. Therefore she named him Dan. Rachel, manservant Leah, conceived again and bore him a second son for Yaakov. And Rachel said, I have wrestled strenuously with my sister, and I have prevailed. So she named him Naphtali. When Leah saw that she had ceased to bear children, she took her maidservant Zilpah and gave her to Yaakov as wife. So Leah's maidservant Zilpah bore a son for Yaakov. Leah then said, what good luck. So she named him Gad. Can I read one more?
Yeah, read on.
And then Leah's maidservant Zilpah bore a second son to Yaakov. And Leah said, what good fortune, because women will call me fortunate. And she named him Asher.
Okay. Who else did this nonsense? Sarah, right?
Yeah,
Sarah did.
sounds familiar.
So it's, yeah. So again, well, back in those days, if a woman couldn't have a child, it was like a curse. It was the worst thing on earth. And so it was pretty bad. Okay. So she has, I think, 6 now. Well, you got the
4.
4. She's got 4.
4 for Leah and
Yeah.
2.
Okay.
And 2 more.
So we got 14, right? Chapter or verse 14. Who would like to read?
How far?
Just read probably to
20?
yeah, read to 20.
21.
21, something like that.
And Reuben went in the days of wheat harvest and found love apples in the field and brought them to his mother Leah. And Rachel said to Leah, please give me some of your son's love apples. But she said to her, it is a small matter that you have taken away my husband. Would you take away my son's love apples too? And Rachel said, therefore, let him lie with you tonight for your son's love apples. And when Jacob came out of the field in the evening, Leah went out to meet him and said, do come in to me, for indeed I have hired you with my son's love apples. And he lay with her that night. And Elohim listened to Leah, and she conceived and bore Jacob a 5th son. And Leah said, Elohim has given me hire, because I have given my female servant to my husband. So she called his name
Issachar.
Issachar. Okay. And Leah conceived again and bore Jacob a 6th son. And Leah said, Elohim presented me with a good present. Now my husband is going to dwell with me because I have borne him 6 sons. So she called his name Zebulun. And after she bore a daughter and called her Dinah. And Elohim remembered Rachel, and Elohim listened to her and opened her womb. And she conceived and bore a son, and said, Elohim has taken away my reproach. So she called his name Joseph, and said, Elohim has added to me another son. And it came to be when Rachel had bore Joseph, and Jacob said to Laban, send me on my way to go to my own place and to my land. What do we say? Keep going?
Yeah, keep going.
All right.
Couple more.
Give my wives and my children for whom I have served you, and let me go. For you yourself know my service, which I have done for you. And Laban said to him, if I have found favor in your eyes, please stay. For I have diligently watched that Elohim has blessed me for your sake. And he said, name me your wages, and I give it. So he's going to pay him off, I guess.
Yeah. We could stop there for a minute.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. So Leah has her 6 sons, and then she has a daughter, right?
Dinah.
And Dinah. Okay. So
Dinah.
Dinah. Now you have to start doing the math here. When we get to the next Torah readings next week. Because these boys are not that old when they take after what's his name?
Joseph.
And Dinah's not that old.
Something to consider here. Each kid is probably worth a year out of somebody's life. So there's like 7 years there. Plus they got to go from infants to, adolescence. So you can add another
But he
10 years.
serves a total of 20 years.
Okay, so it fits in the 20-year realm.
It fits in the 20-year realm.
All right.
Okay?
That's all right.
What's that?
If he did 14, but he didn't get married till 7. When they were 7 years after work.
Right.
But then he went 7 more, so that's 14. And then they started having all these kids.
That takes
Right.
about 30.
No.
He hadn't started having the kids after 7.
Right?
Yeah, after 7 years, she started having kids.
Right.
Okay, so he serves another.
7 years.
He said later that he served him another 6 years after the 14.
So,
So there's at least 20 years plus.
right, he serves like 20 years, but he don't start having kids until after that first 7 years.
Mhm.
So that means when he leaves, Simeon, at the most, is going to be 14 years old.
Yeah, so you gotta add 14 years because the kid's gotta grow up.
Yeah, plus it takes a year to have a baby, so
And every time they have it.
really,
Yeah, but
really 12. We figured it out before. He's only 12. He's only like 13 or so.
Yeah. Simeon's only like 13.
That's it, okay.
Okay, when they get over, and you know how some years pass, you read a chapter, and then you read again, and it seems like the years have passed.
Mhm.
But here it goes pretty much. It's gonna go almost day by day, month by month. It's not gonna jump 30 years down the road.
Mhm.
Like it says now, well, he was 40 years old when he married what's her face. You know, it's not like that. So these boys are young. Okay, when they go, and Dinah is really young.
So he's trying to get out of here now.
Well,
He's gonna take
he's
the
got
kids.
another 7 years yet, right?
Is
No,
it
6.
more.
6 more? to go?
He's got another 6 more years.
He's gonna take the kids with him when he leaves.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
I was talking about the next one when
I'm talking about next week. When we get to next week, when they
that city and they want that guy wants Dinah. And then
the guy wants Dinah. She's not even hardly a teenager.
Wow.
So you gotta read this and do the math here. Okay. And so, let's see. I want to mention something else here. Who is really the covenant with?
Jacob.
Jacob and which wife?
Leah.
Rachel.
Rachel.
Well,
He was
Yeah,
supposed to get Rachel.
That was the old.
That's the covenant, and that's why the whole story of Joseph is so important.
Right.
And that's why you got Yeshua ben Yosef.
Mhm.
Even though he's out of the tribe of Jacob,
No,
Judah, I mean, that's what I mean. The tribe of Judah. He's still out of the tribe of Jacob, but he's still out of Jacob. But yeah, Judah. That's what I meant to say. Judah. Even though he's out of the tribe of Judah, Joseph, you have a representation of Yeshua.
Mm.
That's why the wealth goes to Joseph. That's why he comes so wealthy. Anyways,
but to me, Joseph has such great character. So to me, it has to have something to do with Rachel. So I mean, you want to say that Leah has a better character, but look what an awesome son she raised.
yeah, but Joseph he was always in the tent. He was the runner. Okay, Jacob was
Well, he's with his
Jacob.
dad more.
Yeah, but Isaac is still alive,
Oh, true.
and so Isaac is teaching him.
Isaac, who you've been saying some pretty bad.
Yeah, I know, but I'm still saying there've been, he's of the tent, and so, Joseph, go check on your brothers. He wasn't out with them,
Yeah.
so you just got to stop and think about some things. Okay, let's see.
Chapter 29.
Oh, verse 27. Diligently watch. There's a Hebrew word there. And that Hebrew word means, the root word of it means snake.
Ooh.
So Laban, said to him, if I have found favor in your eyes, please stay, for I have diligently watched. It's almost like on divination,
Mhm.
you know?
That's the word they use. Yeah.
Right. Nonsense.
Yeah, divination.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay, 29. So he said to him, you know how I have served you in bow, or how your livestock has been with me. For the little you had before I came. Okay, so that describes, and has increased greatly, and Adonai has blessed you since my coming. But now when I am to provide for my own house too, God did not bless Laban.
Yeah, what happened to all the riches that Eliezer gave Laban's?
God did not bless
dad?
Laban, but he kept blessing Joseph. I shall again feed and guard your flocks. Let me pass through all your flock today, removing from there all the speckled and spotted sheep, and all the black ones among the lambs, and the spotted and the speckled amongst the goats. And these shall be my wages. And my righteousness shall answer for me in the time to come. When you come concerning my wages, everyone that is not speckled and spotted among the goats and black among the lambs, it is stolen if it is with me. And Laban said, see, let it be according to your word. Okay. And on that day, whenever you hear that phrase, and on that day, that's the great judgment day. He set aside the male goats that were speckled and spotted, and all the female goats that were speckled and spotted, everyone that had some white in it, and all the black ones among the lambs, and gave them in the hand of his sons. And he put 3 days' journey between himself and Jacob fed the rest of Laban's flocks. Okay. And Jacob took for himself rods of poplar and of almond and chestnut trees, split white strips in them, and exposed the white which was in the rods. Okay, and he set the rods which he had peeled before the flocks in the gutters, in the water troughs where the flocks came to drink, and they conceived when they came to drink. Had to be God all the way. I mean, this was just God. This was Adonai or El Shaddai blessing him, right? And Jacob separated the lambs and made the flocks face toward the streaked and all the black in the flock of Laban, but he put his own flocks by themselves, and he did not He did not put them with Laban's flocks. Okay? You have to separate, right, folks? It came to be whenever the strong ones of the flock conceived that Jacob placed the rods before the eyes of the flock in the gutters, so they would conceive among the rods. Okay? But when the flocks were weak, he did not put them in. So the weak ones were Laban's and the strong ones were Jacob's.
That's good.
Thus, the man increased very much and had many flocks and female and male servants and camels and donkeys. All right. Chapter 31. Who would like to read? Start reading.
Oh, I suppose it's my turn.
Yeah. Yawning as she does it.
Yaakov heard that the sons of Laban were saying, Yaakov has taken all that was our father's, and he has gained all this wealth from what belonged to our father. And Yaakov saw that Laban did not regard him as favorably as he did before. Then Adonai said to Yaakov, return to the land of your ancestors and to your kindred, and I will be with you. So Yaakov sent and called Rachel and Leah into the field where his flock was, and he said to them, I see that your father does not regard me as favorably as he did before. But the God of my father has been with me. You know that I have served your father with all my strength, yet your father has cheated me and changed my wages 10 times. But God did not permit him to harm me. If he said, the speckled shall be your wages, then all the flock bore speckled. And if he said, the striped shall be your wages, then all the flock bore striped. Thus God has taken away the livestock of your father and given them to me. During the mating of the flock I once had a dream, in which I looked up and saw that the male goats that leaped upon the flock were striped, speckled, and mottled. Then the angel of Elohim said to me in the dream, Yaakov, and I said, here I am, Hineni. And he said, look up and see that all the goats that leap on the flock are striped, speckled, and mottled, for I have seen all that Laban is doing to you. I am Elohim of Bethel, where you anointed a pillar and made a vow to me. Now leave this land at once and return to the land of your birth. Then Rachel and Leah answered him, is there any portion of inheritance left to us in our father's house? Are we not regarded by him as foreigners? For he has sold us, and he has been using up the money given for us. All the property that God has taken away from our father belongs to us and our children. Now then, do whatever God has said to you.
Okay. What do you think about that? Consumed all the silver. Laban liked a nice life, didn't he?
But he got that from Abraham.
Yeah.
Rebecca.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what he had left.
A big taker, not a giver.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. So, you gonna read on?
So Yaakov arose and set his children and his wives on camels, and he drove away all his livestock, all the property that he had gained, the livestock in his possession that he had acquired in Padan Aram, to go to his father Isaac in the land of Canaan. Now Laban had gone to shear his sheep, and Rachel stole her father's household gods. Oh, plural. No, I never noticed it was plural.
Yeah.
And Yaakov deceived Laban the Aramean, in that he did not tell him that he intended to flee. So he fled with all that he had. Starting out, he crossed the Euphrates and set his face toward the hill country of Gilead. On the third day, Laban was told that Yaakov had fled, so he took his kinsfolk with him and pursued him for 7 days until he caught up with him in the hill country of Gilead.
Mm-hmm.
But Elohim came to Laban the Aramean in a dream by night and said to him, take heed that you say not a word to Yaakov, either good or bad. So Laban overtook Yaakov. Now Yaakov had pitched his tent in the hill country, and Laban with his kinfolk camped in the hill country of Gilead. Laban said to Yaakov, what have you done? You have deceived me and carried away my daughters like captives of the sword. Why did you flee secretly and deceive me and not tell me? I would have sent you away with mirth and songs, with tamarines and lyre. And why did you not permit me to kiss my sons and my daughters farewell? What you have done is foolish. It is in my power to do you harm, but the Elohim of your father spoke to me last night, saying, take heed that you speak to Yaakov neither good nor bad. But he is speaking to him. Even though you had to go because you longed greatly for your father's house, why did you steal my gods? Yaakov answered Laban, because I was afraid, for I thought that you would take your daughters from me by force. But anyone with whom you find your gods shall not live. Whoa.
Yeah.
In the presence of our kinfolk, point out what I have that is yours and take it. Now Yaakov did not know that Rachel had stolen the gods.
Okay, so poor Jacob, he prophesied his own wife's death, right?
Oh boy.
Be careful what you say.
That's happened 2 other times in the Bible. Saul said something that when it was Jonathan, but the soldiers begged him not to, because he was supposed to kill Jonathan, because Jonathan ate something when they were all supposed to be fasting. And then after that, that man who won a victory or something, he said the first person that comes out of the house, I'm going to sacrifice.
The first thing I see or something, right?
Right, it was his daughter.
Came
Was his
out.
daughter, yeah.
So, man, all these
Yeah.
guys and rash things.
Why did she steal the false gods?
Yeah, why in the world?
Why? What was she thinking?
If he believed in the gods, then she took away his power because he didn't believe in the Most High. That's
Yeah.
what she was thinking.
Oh, that's what you was thinking.
Because
Yeah.
when I was hearing in some of the studies I had, the gods were actually like scalps of something to people he defeated. So he overcame them. So that was like a trophy. So people would be afraid of him because he had trophies.
Yeah. So she
Like,
thought he
yeah,
could,
still-
yeah. She was thinking she could take away his gods, take away his power. Okay, because
That
it's
is an interesting thought.
verse 29 says, it is in the power of my hand to do evil to you. No, it isn't.
see? Yeah.
That's not true.
I mean,
God,
he's just proving he is an evil man.
Yeah.
He wanted to do evil things.
yeah, he you know, he can't touch God's anointed. It's not going to happen. So that was a lie right there. Okay,
In his heart, he did.
yeah. So, where are we at?
Verse 33.
Okay, you want to keep reading or someone else want to read?
I don't care.
Okay, keep on.
So Laban went into Yaakov's tent and into Leah's tent and into the tent of the two maids, but he did not find them. And he went out of Leah's tent and entered Rachel's. Now Rachel had taken the household gods and put them in the camel's saddle and sat on them. Wow, was that a big high pile or was it?
Well, they didn't have to be very big.
No,
They don't have to be,
didn't
the
have
golden
to.
calf was supposed to only be about like this.
Yeah.
So his idols could have been,
Well, if it would have been very big, then
Could be
Laban
trinket.
would have been a little suspicious.
Yeah.
It couldn't have been that big.
just trinkets.
A shrunken head.
And Laban felt all about in the tent, but did
Halloween
not
specials.
find them. And she said to her father, "Let not my lord be angry." She calls him Lord. "That I cannot rise before you, for the way of women is upon me." So he searched, but did not find the household gods. Then Yaakov became angry and upbraided Laban. Yaakov said to Laban, "What is my offense? What is my sin, that you have hotly pursued me? Although you have felt about through all my goods, what have you found of all your household goods? Set it here before my kinsfolk and your kinsfolk, so that they may decide between us two. These 20 years," yeah, see, he actually says it.
Yeah.
"I have been with you,
Yeah,
and
20
your
years.
ewes and your female goats have not miscarried, and I have not eaten the rams of your flock. That which was torn by wild beasts I did not bring, that which was torn by wild beasts I did not bring to you. I bore the loss of it myself. Of my hand you required it, whether stolen by day or stolen by night. It was like this with me. By day the heat consumed me, and the cold by night, and my sheep fled from my eyes. These 20 years I have been in your house. I served you 14 years for your 2 daughters and 6 years for your flock. And you have changed my wages 10 times. If the Elohim of my father, the Elohim of Abraham, and the Elohim of Yitzhak had not been on my side, surely now you would have sent me away empty-handed. Elohim saw my affliction and the labor of my hands and rebuked you last night." Then Laban answered and said to Yaakov, "The daughters are my daughters. The children are my children. The flocks are my flocks, and all that you see is mine. But what can I do today about these daughters of mine, or about the children whom they have borne? Come now, let us make a covenant, you and I, and let it be a witness between you and I. So Yaakov took a stone and set it up as a pillar. And Yaakov said to his kinfolk, gather stones. And they took stones and made a heap, and they ate there by the heap. See, a covenant, there's always eating, almost always eating.
Yeah, there's always eating.
Laban called it Yagar Sahaduta, but Yaakov called it Galid. And it tells the meanings. Heap of witness. Laban said, this heap is a witness between you and me today. Therefore he called it Galid. And the pillar Mizpah, for he said, the Lord said, Adonai, watch between you and me when we are absent one from the other. If you ill-treat my daughters, or if you take wives in addition to my daughters, though no one else is with us, remember that Elohim is witness between you and me. Then Laban said to Yaakov, see this heap and see the pillar which I have set between you and me. He says, I have set, and yet Jacob died. He told his own, his sakes. That I will not pass beyond this point to you, and you will not pass beyond this heap and this pillar to me for harm. May the Elohim of Abraham and the Elohim of Nahor, the Elohim of their father, judge between us. So Yaakov swore by the Elohim of his father Yitzhak, and Yaakov offered a sacrifice on the height and called his kinfolk to eat bread, and they ate bread and tarried all night in the hill country. Early in the morning, Laban rose up, kissed his grandchildren and his daughters, and blessed them. Then he departed and returned home.
And the last two verses then, and Jacob went on his way, and the messengers of Elohim met him. And when Jacob saw them, he said, this is the camp of Elohim. And he called the name of the place Mahanaim. Okay. The messengers of Elohim. You know what? It means two.
It means angels.
God is let's see. What does that mean? I wrote it down here. God is manifested. It's God is manifested. So these were angelical beings that met him. I happen to think. And Jacob went on his way, and the messengers of Elohim met him. I happen to think maybe Yeshua was there.
Okay.
And he called the name of the place, Mahanaim. Mahanaim. I don't know how to pronounce that. And Jacob sent messengers before him. Oh, this is next week. Okay.
The messengers are supposed to be Gabriel, the angels in the presence of the Lord that give messages.
Yeah. So
Laban is saying that Nahor worshipped Elohim and their father, Abraham and Nahor's father.
Right.
But other people say they were idol worshippers.
But Laban doesn't call Elohim his father.
Right.
He has all these false gods.
I know, but yet he's talking here like he believes in Elohim.
Yeah, I know.
You know, but that's a deceiver for you, right?
Right.
Like he knows he's there, he just doesn't worship him.
Yeah.
Like the Satan.
I mean, he says he spoke to him, and then he
Doesn't give him any
says,
credit.
Yeah. So yeah, some pretty interesting stuff.
Wow.
So we get into next week's, you got to remember, 20 years, and he worked 7. So the oldest one, Reuben, is only going to be 14 years old. At the oldest.
7 plus.
20 minus 7 is 13.
yeah.
So he's probably only 13 years old.
Unless it takes him a year to get to.
So it takes a year. So he's 14.
Yeah.
How old does that make Dinah?
Well, we don't, well, she's at the end of 6 kids and there was a break in between. A couple kids born in between.
So it's no wonder the boys are furious.
You like the baby girl?
So,
Oh, here we go.
hello. How's it going?
It's going pretty good. How's it going here?
Going good. We just finished up with Shabbat. Or I mean, not Shabbat. We finished up with the Torah studies. So, all right. Blessings, everyone. We will see you on Shabbat. Praise the Lord.
It's a good story. I like that.
One of my favorites.
Yeah.